Okay, guys, welcome to the Thursday edition of the Amazing Showdown. This will be our final class in the live 12-week series, and we've had an awesome time together, and we've covered so much content. Just a couple housekeeping things. I've been working with the guys over at Amazing to get the back office, the showdown.amazing.com back office reorganized, and we're still going to work on the resources section probably next week because it has to be scheduled with coding. But we have got all of our initial content in the video archive restructured and organized. The main takeaway that I want you guys to have as you kind of review this content is that our Q&A sessions have been about 60 hours, somewhere between 50 and 60 hours over the 12 weeks of Q&A. But the Q&A sessions, which was surprising to me, was, we kind of, we did all this together. And the thing was that most people were all at different places within their campaign optimization flow. So with the Q&A sessions, they were very rarely related specifically to the class training because everybody really wanted to get to class and talk about campaign issues, regarding cost, performance, and scale, which we've spent the past, Act 3 doing in detail with 2 classes a week, based on those questions. So what I found as I reviewed the content is really for the Q&As, the best way to use those files is to be sure that you are making sure that you use the document link that is available in the video archive that shows you front and center the corresponding document with the class, because you want to be sure that you can review the questions before you try to access those Q&A files. So each Q&A session we've done live is accompanied by a transcript that essentially gives you a timestamp and a list of the questions asked so that you can kind of scan through those to find the questions that are relevant to what you're working on or that interest you to listen to answers. So it's very important that you, with the Q&As, they're a separate kind of component to this series. And if you're going through trying to catch up or use the content to get the action items implemented, it's very straightforward. You want to stay focused on your step-by-step guides, and you want to stay focused on the 4 main classes in the first 2 acts, right? The 4 strategy classes. And then you want to stay super focused on the 8 implementation classes that we've done here in Act 3. So if you're looking back at the content, we've now separated that. So I would say Q&A is a bonus that you can use, but definitely use it with the corresponding PDF. And then in terms of your class content, just focus on the 4 modules for each class. And then if you really want to see kind of how things are implemented and how I do things that you've taken away from the strategy 1-hour session, then go ahead and review everything here in Act 3, which we've moved and renamed, so that you guys can see the demos of everything that we've covered and learned in an optimization kind of environment, so you can see how it's done. So today in class, I'm going to cover how to do keyword pausing and how to cap your max CPC. Now, the reason I saved this for last is really I didn't want anybody to get distracted. And it was kind of funny because we would have a lot of questions from really like advanced students during the search term mining class, how we would kind of differentiate our poor performing keywords from our search terms. But the main thing, I didn't want to get hyper focused on that, because this strategy is great for capping spend, just like the strategy of pausing campaign. Pausing your keywords in the campaign manager is fantastic. I'm going to show you guys some examples today of how great that is for capping spend and making sure you don't have wasted ad dollars. So of course, the first rule to making money is to not lose it. But the goal of this class is to scale, right? The whole concept, the whole thing that has made my particular strategy so well positioned for Amazon. I came out of a very, my specialty in Google was competitive markets at scale. So since that was what I did coming into Amazon, I had a perfect skill set to kind of lean into this platform. So my particular strategy, they're not all the same. Everyone has their own game. And I think it's super important to look at all games. But my particular game is scale. So with that in mind, I don't want to talk to you guys a lot about pausing keywords, lowering bids, capping. I want you to do that. But in terms of my personal workflow, that's going to be maybe 10 to 20% of what I use my time on. I use the majority of my time looking for new keyword opportunities. I'm using the majority of my time looking for those new search terms to get the best rank and the best velocity, because I'm driving total sales like crazy. My clients on average are growing 3x, right? So I definitely, from that perspective, I didn't go too much into this during our sessions because this is an afterthought for me. I literally am plugging keywords just to make sure that I don't blow any ad spend. And I'm focusing all of my energy and all of my time on finding the new keyword opportunities and making sure those opportunities are ranked at top of search, making sure I'm getting as much visibility as possible, that I'm kind of going through the whole category. I'm really looking at velocity to take bestseller badges, which totally boost conversion, velocity just to build total sales. So everything I've taught you within these 12 weeks is about velocity. So really the main focus of what I do is the search term mining and going ahead and pushing everything as far as I can to get as much scale as possible. So that is why we haven't gone through this in detail, because to me, it really is an afterthought. Like, you can't waste dollars, true, but the main thing is to get that research phase done where you get the right competitors, the right keywords, the right modifiers, and then getting in and pushing those things to critical mass, right? Critical mass is the key to all business success, right? Any company that you admire, including Amazon, has established and accomplished critical mass. So I'm trying to take the keywords that I do have and push them to critical mass. So that's like my big takeaway for today's lesson. So you guys understand that this is definitely like in your workflow, you're trying to spend, maybe 20% of your time max on this type of process. So the another thing that's super key with today's takeaway, and why I saved it for last, is to understand that not all problems are actually campaign problems. Not all problems are advertising problems. Some of the problems that you encounter have to do with the product itself, but not the product as like an isolated island. Like we've talked about, this is a system, but more about how the product is going to interact with the shopper, first and foremost, and then two, how that product is going to interact with the competition in the market, because the Amazon ecosystem is so condensed. So with that, I really want to point out that these campaigns are very well managed. Like, I'm seeing all of the people that have submitted demos to me that send me their stuff. I've been blown away just by how well things are put together and how well the direction has headed and how much more velocity I'm seeing out of my campaigns than I am the other stuff in the account. So I'm very excited that people are getting it, but I do think that some of you guys may have some frustration around advertising, and it may just be the product mix. And I have to say, even with my best-selling clients, there's still stuff in their catalog that we've tested that failed, that just doesn't work well in advertising. There's just obstacles in advertising that have nothing to do with the campaign themselves and have so much to do with the product. So I'm going to start by showing you a couple of this first obstacle, and then how we're going to deal with it, how we're going to fix it, and how we're going to manage our max CPC. But I want you to understand that this is not a problematic product. Let's go ahead and have a look at it. The first thing is so the main thing that Liz is advertising here is a leotard for gymnastics, right? And these are really well designed. They're super cute. But what she's got here is she's got her leotard, and she's advertising it here. You could see on page 1 of search, just like we've been trained. And it looks good here. It's in the first position. I've gone ahead after her keyword that she's been scaling, leotards for girls gymnastics. Now, here's where there is absolutely nothing wrong with this product. Beautiful product, well designed. I'm going to talk about some ways we could optimize these campaigns further today, of course, just from a strategic standpoint. But I have to say there's nothing wrong with this leotard. But I have to tell you regarding how the shopper is going to shop here, no matter what leotard you have, the shopper is going, because these are pattern designs, right? These aren't solids. These have a very different like stylistic thing. I mean, even if you look at the top sponsored ad to the second, you've got this kind of diamond patterned, really kind of rainbowish pastel design. And then you've got this crazy, like someone went and did like a crazy Warhol painting over this or whatever that is with the splatter design, or is it Jackson or something? Anyway, I mean, so geez, these are completely different designs. And then you keep going down and there's like tiny unicorns. And then we've got like splatter paint with hot pink and a stripe. And then we got some rhinestones. And then we got like the mermaid full on like shiny spliced scaled leotard. So these are completely different. And this is a shopping category. People are going to come here, and without question, whether we like it or not, as advertisers, they are going to click and browse. no matter how good the keywords are here, there's so many stylistic options that a mom is going to come over here and she is going to really be thinking, which of these styles do I like best? And she's going to click and she's going to look and then she's going to come back and she's going to click again, because these are just not cut and dry. I need a pink leotard for ballet. I need a black leotard for ballet. That may be very straightforward if you were just to say pink leotard, black leotard. And I think that would only apply to something like ballet, where there's actually like just a few colors that you can wear. But this is not the case. In gymnastics, this is a very kind of vibrant design. And this is going to take a mom time to shop. And you're going to pay for those clicks, and you're going to pay for a lot of clicks that don't convert to sales. Because even if your product is fantastic, there's so many stylistic choices here that they are going to go ahead and look at all of them. And then they're going to choose, no matter how well you've done this, they're going to click, they're going to shop, they're going to browse, you're going to pay, and then they're going to choose whatever design they like best in the end. So this is a very challenging, in terms of advertising, you could have some challenges here in the sense that, boy, you're going to have some clicking and shopping. So when you're doing a really high CPC strategy, a high bid strategy, it could be challenging because you're going to pay for a lot of clicks. And we're going to look at that in her click to sale ratio. So this is an example right here of a product that is well done, but is going to be challenging in advertising due to the clicks. And then the biggest challenge, like we talked about in our class, now we get into our strategy and how we're going to try to fix this. The biggest challenge that we have, and we've discussed in class, is organic rank. So if there isn't organic rank for this particular leotard, it's almost like all of her clicks are going to be driven by ads. So if you go to this page, we're going to have people looking at the Huzi leotard and the Bawahula massive, this bestseller badge here on this little rhinestone jobby. They're going to be clicking on these, and they're going to be going through these organically. But then every time Liz secures a click, she's going to pay for it, right? So this is going to be very hard in terms of your A cost and managing your spend, because you would have no position if you didn't run the ad. But you've also got this issue that this is a category that is going to have shoppers clicking. The designs are just too varied. It's going to take some shopping. So I really think, again, like when you start to think about your little girl, it's like, oh my gosh, am I going to put her in rhinestones? Does she like the mermaid? And then the girl's going to probably have to come back too and say, which ones do you like? If I'm a mom, I am a mom, my kids are grown, but I had littles, and I'm probably going to have to say to my daughter, hey, come check this out. Which one of these do you like now? Right. I've been looking at them all, clicking around at them all, like now come and click around at them all. Right. So I just think this is going to be challenging. And then up here, this getting all of the clicks without, if we had organic rank, we might be able to balance it out, and we don't. So that's going to be very challenging. Who's really got the advantage here is this Bayo Hulu. Bayo Hulu has a serious competitive advantage here. Massive, because they're not paying for 1, 2, 3 of their listings are on the organic ranked, listings. So they are not going to be paying strictly for any kind of paid clicks. Most of their traffic, especially because 3 of their kind of variations that require shopping, are going to be done here organically. And that makes them a nasty competitor in the simple fact that they have a lot of organic rank, and will be challenged. Even someone here, this one down here, this Simone Biles, Firecracker Gymnastics, they have her. That's really a killer kind of ad, but they're going to be challenged because the organic ranked ones with a similar style are free. And they have a bestseller badge, right? So that's kind of when you have a really kind of lethal competitor, great organic rank, 3 positions on first page of your main keyword. And then for you to get the same traffic for this beautiful leotard, you're going to pay for every click. So that's going to be an example of not an issue in the campaign structure, not an issue with the algorithm, an issue with an actual kind of obstacle that needs to be done in different ways. So when I look at this, that's going to be my first takeaway on this particular product. So when I go back over to the data and try to decide what I'm going to do now. You can't just have a problem be a problem, right? We got to solve them. So when I start to say, what will I do with this product? I come back over here and I say, okay, so I go to the business report. That's my first thing is I go to the business report and I try to say, okay, what are we going to do? Because this is not going to happen, right? And I'm trying to look for where my opportunities are. Before I ever run a campaign, I'm always looking at where the opportunities are within the business report. Everything highlighted in yellow is what we're advertising right now. So of course, you could see that the majority of her sales are coming out of that same leotard that we're advertising right here, but there's some different sizes. So this is the one we're advertising, and she's already doing that. And then she's gone ahead and listened to the training and she talked about this in an email exchange where she's gone ahead and added some of the other variations so people can self-select. Now, in this instance, I think that would be interesting. I'm going to show you guys the product listing, but I also think once again, because this one variation is selling so well, and this is a lifetime report on the Business Center, I don't know that I would be adding in other variations to that particular page. I might add all the others to their own self-selected page. So I'll talk about that here in a minute. But the main thing I looked at with this is I scrolled down and I thought, okay, but this is right here. Like, what's going on with this guy? So we've got this gymnast medal hanger, right? It's for medals, for gymnastic medals, and it's got this little gymnast brand thing. I think I have it open for us up here. There it is. So she's got this product, and it's got like 4 colors. It's got a 5-star review. And man, I mean, in the data, not just in the business report, this has done $35,000 on 4 ASINs. So from a risk standpoint and an investment standpoint, I think, okay, well, these metal hangers, I don't know what's going on in terms of all the manufacturing stuff, but look how many ASINs we have of leotards. I mean, so we've got to have from 3 to, I don't know, 50 leotard variations here between sizes and styles. And we've only done 35K, on these, where we've got these like 3 metal hangers or 4 metal hangers, and we've done 35, right? So to me, it's like the same sales velocity, far like less of a red ocean in the sense that, you don't have this stylistic challenge. You're still going to have some challenges. And the session unit percentage on that purple sparkle finish right here, this guy is great. So if I were looking at this business report, and this happens to me all the time in audits and with my clients, people say, I want to sell this. And I say, well, I want to sell this. So if you and I, if Liz and I were to sit down across the strategy table, she would say, I'm going to sell these leotards. And I would say, I'm going to sell the purple sparkle finish gymnastic thing, right? The metal hanger. And at least I'm going to try it because I have a killer session unit percentage. I have great sales. I have, simple products, not nearly as much shopping involved, I don't believe, in terms of these stylistic leotards with all these different designs. I would be testing this as well. I'd be more aggressive on this to see what it could do. It could or could not win. But I would definitely be getting in to see what this gymnast metal hanger can do because it's very interesting. And then up here, Liz has gone ahead and separated what she did. She said that she's going to allow people to self-select, which I usually am a huge supporter of in advertising. So she's gone ahead and put the different variations within this page. Now, I think, in terms of just the market here, I would probably limit the variations. If I were to do this as a strategy, I would probably, from a manufacturing standpoint, probably limit my variations because I don't know, overall, if it's going to be more challenging to get different styles to get picked up. It seems like there's so many styles available. So with this, I would be probably saying kind of what she did, like having all of my styles on a self-selecting page, super smart, because we talked about this, because she only brings 1 leotard search to this page. Sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong window. So she would come through this. But if I go back to the data, I would probably keep these on their own page just because of their sales velocity, the ones in blue, which is that triangle one that's ranking so well right here, this little guy. I could probably keep that into its own page, and then I would take the other ones and have another page where they could self-select and then test it, just strictly based on the fact that I don't think I think that the other one has such stronger performance, I probably wouldn't dilute them all down, but I would dilute these. Like I would advertise the winner on its own thing with different sizes. And then I would for certain take these guys, in all these different patterns and get them on a self-selecting page so that people can look at all the styles. But if you're going to have to run advertising, the thing about advertising is you have this one main product image. And that's another problem with self-selecting. I think you could get to a place where people would want to self-select between these crazy designs, right? Like the different peace signs, the donuts, I could see that. But if you're advertising this design here, these are so styled that I think that you'd want to push this one to critical mass. And I think you'd want to just focus on this particular design because it's competitive, it's converting best, and people would probably come to that and want to select a size. And then I think all your other ones, like your tie-dyes and your others, could go on a single page. That would be my suggestion in terms of the structuring of this. And I think no matter what, we are going to have to, this won't be an aggressive strategy to sell these leotards, simply because in advertising, it's just on Amazon specifically going to be too expensive to be advertising with this much style variation where people shop. So with that, you can see all of this right here in the bulk download. So we get the bulk download file. And the reason I do a bulk download, to clarify on this for keywords, and again, this is an afterthought. This is just getting the keywords that aren't working into the right place. But this is a great demo campaign because most of her keywords need lower bids. So when we look at this, the bulk download is essential and helpful to do this process for two reasons. First and foremost, the bulk download is the only place that actually includes a data metric for your current bid, right? So you get to compare what your current bid is up against your max bid. So this is going to be the most useful piece of a bulk download is, okay, I can see what my current bid is. I calculate my max bid based on the guys. And now I know where I have to make adjustments. So I use a bulk download because you can do these things manually super fast as long as you have, smaller campaigns. Is super helpful to just kind of determine which keywords you're going to adjust bids on. And then it's also really helpful because it sets this, the bid that is existing right now is actually in the data. Gives you a breakdown between your ad groups and your campaigns. So you can look at like ad group performance up here in this table. It gives you kind of breakdowns by ad group and campaign. So you get to kind of see how each ad group is performing. If we're doing a single keyword strategy, which we are, we have scale, we have shop, we could actually see what's looking, what's going on in the ad group level. And then the other reason the bulk download is great is because if you have a massive campaign with like 1 million SKUs and a lot going on, you can create a bulk upload, right? There's a simple video on YouTube. You could do a bulk upload from the bulk download and make all your changes in bulk. The majority of them you could just do manual. Like this is a manual change. There's no reason to get tricky and start trying to upload files and do crazy stuff. This is something that you could just do a quick manual adjustment and be done optimizing in probably a half hour. But I think that, for people with bigger accounts, we sometimes use a bulk upload. So this is why bulk download is great for this particular instance of keyword pausing and setting max CPCs. So from here, to look at this data, let's talk about the different pieces that we analyze. Of course, I'm going to look at the ad group situation, right? I'm going to look at how my ad groups are doing. And here's where you could see the numbers. It just shows up in the very first campaign. It just shows up right here. Just what I outlined. This is not a campaign structure issue. This is how the shopper interacts with the product. The click to sale ratio is 17 clicks, 27 clicks, 21 clicks. So these people, women and girls, are clicking and clicking and clicking, and you got girls involved, clicking, clicking, clicking. So you're getting like a massive amount of clicks on this style because it's very cute and well designed, but they're going to pick out of so many different styles. I don't know how in the world you would take a broad keyword like leotards for girls' gymnastics and determine what style they're going to pick. You're not going to be able to. Are they going to pick rhinestones? Are they going to pick hot pink? Do they like purple? Do they like blue? I mean, they're just so going to be a personal preference thing with no keyword modifiers to define it for you. So when we get in here, you've got 17 clicks to get a sale, 27 clicks to get a sale, 21 clicks to get a sale. It's just too many clicks to pay a max CPC on. So she's gone ahead and done a bid for rank strategy, and it's worked. Right? So we know it's worked up to this point. She is number one in sponsored. She has pushed her bid up, and she's done a fantastic job. She's outranked everybody. It looks great. Perfect. It couldn't be any better. But if you come over here, and this is what's great, is you come over here and you can really see that, okay, with this click to sale ratio, after testing this traffic, the max CPC that I can pay, and again, doing this system, you're going to do this monthly, so there's not much room for runaway. You're going to plug your keywords. I'm going to show you that here in a minute that don't convert at all. But boy, when you're doing this kind of diligent optimization, there's not much room for stuff to get crazy, right? So this is where you can really see almost immediately, and you could have seen it in a search term report as well, just that her max CPC is significantly lower. With the amount of clicks it takes her to get a sale, she needs to be bidding like 71 cents, 72 cents, 59 cents. And there's nothing that you could do to change that kind of balance just based on how many clicks it's taking. So with that, you can use this to build sales history. You could build it to, use this to keep your keywords active. But from a competitive strategy, going after organic rank and that kind of fierce competitor that has the organic rank is going to be a first move. Definitely from an advertising strategy, going really strong on those metal hooks is going to be a really good move in terms of an advertising product that could scale. But then coming in here just to do the straight across, like how do I manage this particular product? You're going to go in, you're going to see now that you're bidding $6, $7, $5. It's ranked you're at top of search, you're jamming, you're pushing orders. But unfortunately, the metrics are showing you right here, right now, that you need to go in and set your max bids here. So here's how the calculation works. We have our click to sale ratio. We have our max CPC, which is based off how many clicks it takes us to get a sale. That is what determines our max CPC, is how many clicks it takes you to get a sale. So 17 clicks is a pretty steep number. 17, you see a lot of other products are scaling at 4 and 5 clicks, not because of anything better in the product, because of the way it's shopped. 4 to 5 clicks gives you a lot more room on that CPC, right? Just do the math. So we look at this 17 clicks, we can actually pay max CPC around 71 cents. Now, here's what I do in my formula, which again, we've created a nice like step-by-step on this. But what I do in my formula that is important to keep in mind here is you want to give yourself, I give myself just classic, pay-per-click management over 15 years. I give myself about 20% wiggle room on my CPCs. So what I say on there is, okay, if I have a max CPC, I can only pay 71 cents for this keyword, right? When I'm looking at this guy right here, I could pay 71 cents for this keyword. I'm going to come in and say, okay, my max bid is going to be 20% above that. So I have a little wiggle room to hit that max CPC. I'm going to set my bid at 85 cents. So that is the max with that click to sale ratio, 17 clicks to get a sale, that I can pay for that particular keyword. Leotards for girls gymnastics, great keywords, super targeted, well selected, beautiful product, but I can only pay based on how much the shopper is clicking all over the search engine, 85 cents. But then with this in mind strategically, I am definitely going to be coming back over here and thinking day and night, 24/7, what I'm going to do about organic rank. If you're looking at obstacles and opportunities, the opportunity here is organic rank. Like in this game, especially with this Bayo Hulu people, and they've got 3 pop products positioned, this needs to get some organic rank before we could even think of pushing velocity again with sponsored. Because I can tell you from my own experience, that when you push the organic rank up, these clicks go down significantly because you don't have to drive as many clicks from paid ads, right? When you have some type of organic positioning on page 1, not all your clicks are paid. Your click at this point, this kind of serves as a killer kind of banner for us, right? And I would maybe even, deciding on how I was going to run this. This is a fantastic banner. So she's got top sponsored. She's going to be great in mobile, tons of visibility. But now I need to be able to scroll down and see this style again for free. So that if I don't click on the very first ad, I've already seen it. I've got the visibility. I got the end cap, the shelf space, the brand visibility. Now I'm going to go down and you're going to get a lot of organic clicks on that same product. So to me, to get this strategy working at scale, it would require an organic placement without question. And then I think even then with an organic placement, it's going to not most likely be able to afford this top position because it just needs a lower CPC because of how much people are shopping. And the funny thing is, the second I looked at this product, second I even glanced at it, I knew that was the issue. I mean, really, like, it didn't take me 5 minutes. Like, if you had emailed me and said, hey, can you help me with this campaign? I would have said, I think there's going to be a lot of clicking going on here. I think there's going to be a lot of clicking going on this particular product. Even me as a pro, I think I'm going to have to cap my cost per click. I mean, this immediately out the gate. There's too much shopping happening for me to kind of, hold in my margins that many clicks. So that's the strategy on how you get it together, right? So from here, now let's kind of talk about how this sheet's broken down, right? We've got that covered. So essentially you've set a max bid. So now how do you just make this super actionable? It's very easy. Again, this is not a time suck. This is these are not working at scale. So to me, they're just out of the question. What product can I scale? How can I move these? I might boost conversion on this slightly by keeping all of the same style on the same page and getting the other ones off of it. And then I'd be on to the races. What's next? So what I do with this, and let's look at the different ways that you can optimize keywords. If you're looking at the outline I created for you guys, First and foremost, I am not going to hang on to keywords that have this low key, right? We already talked about this. Let's go ahead and cover this. I'm not keeping my keywords that only have 2 orders or 1 order. I don't care. They're not going to scale. They don't hit velocity. My whole goal is velocity, right? And there's a whole bunch of reasons in here, and I'm going to cover them with you. But definitely these 2 and 1 orders are just going to get paused. I'm not going to lower my CPC. I'm not going to move those keywords to buy. They're not going to up my game at any place. They're not going to help me in any way that I need to keep them. 2 orders, 1 order, they're gone. I'm just going to pause them. Now up here in these ones that have a lot of orders, like I teach you guys, boy, I've got to do something with those for sales history. I don't want to chuck them. So with those, I am going to move them to buy with this lower CPC that I showed you, the lower bid to get the max CPC that I showed you. I'm going to move those to buy. Now, here's one that's right in the middle that I think is interesting to really cover here is one, I wouldn't be moving these to buy, especially this one. I wouldn't be moving this keyword to buy. I'm going to put it in orange because of relevance. Like, again, I've got 7 orders on it, but the word for, I already have a very highly relevant, right? Like leotards for girls gymnastics. That's going to build sales history for me because that's the best I can do with this campaign is keep my sales history strong by keeping these keywords in the bidding cycle. So if I'm just trying to bid to keep sales history on leotard for girls gymnastics, I don't really care about 4 girls gymnastics leotards. That's a strategy that a lot of people use to get traffic. And boy, does it work for impressions. It is a magic thing to add these kind of weird stop words ahead of your keywords. And if it gave me free, cheap traffic, I would take it. But this isn't cheap traffic. It's certainly not free. It's not profitable for me. And I'm not going to gain anything with the algorithm by keeping that word for in there. So that's another keyword that I'm just going to pause. Like it's not relevant in my opinion. Like it's not necessary to play the game when I'm moving stuff to buy and all I can do is history. So those are going to be kind of one way I look at it. And then the next thing I will show you guys is that we pause keywords that have clicks and 0 sales. See how important this is. I'll even put a row above it so you guys can see it. At this point, I'm always like, this is so important, right? I've got 39 clicks, 23 clicks, 21 clicks, 17 clicks, and no sales, right? So these are just going to get paused. And this is why pausing every week a couple times in the campaign manager is so effective, right? These wouldn't even be here. If you guys were pausing manually in the campaign manager, they're not in my reports like this. So when you do that manually in the campaign manager, which we finished a guide for that actually this morning, it's going to post. When you do that, it's so you eliminate the wasted ad dollars. So instead of getting 39 clicks, I would have probably got 10 clicks. You know what I mean? So instead of spending $36, I would have spent 12. Instead of spending $35, I would have spent 10. You know what I mean? So or 15. Like you're really going to save money just by not letting these keywords with 0 orders. And you can also see the keywords with 0 orders just continue to go most of the time after you get past that point, the 10 click threshold. They mostly just keep going in the bad direction. They don't convert. So I very, very, very rarely, not enough to think about it, that's for sure. Very rarely do I see keywords that come back strong, like strong winning racehorse after 10 clicks in the 0 sales world. They usually just suck. And so you may once in a while see one, stray keyword that kind of defies as an outlier. All outliers are out there and defies the laws of that. But the majority of the time when a keyword hits the 10 click mark and it's still not jamming, it's not going to jam and it's dead. Kill it, right? So with that, these are going to get paused. They're not going to get moved. I'm not going to think about them. And they would have got picked up and picked off in the weekly campaign management that we've outlined over the past few weeks. So from there, I go ahead and take the keywords that I'm doing something with over and I do this little bulk download sheet for October. So simple. I just go ahead and copy over the stuff I'm going to pause, right? Stuff with 0 orders, 2 orders, 1 order, high ACOS. It just goes over here. Boom. Just going to pause it. Right. I'm not thinking much about it. I've got some clicks here. I've got some spend here. By doing that, I'm going to go ahead and eliminate just a little bit of ad spend. So that's going to go ahead and shut those down, right? So I put them in a row called keywords pause. And I go ahead and I sort it by my campaign and then my ad group and then my keyword. And I go in here and get those gone. Then I go ahead and say, okay, here's the keywords that I'm moving and pausing right here, right? These are just the other ones. They're going to get paused. Right? Just move them, pause, which means they're getting wherever they're at now. These high order ones with these max bids versus the current bid. I go ahead and pause those too, right? So these are my pause headers. Pause those up. Go straight into the campaign manager, get it done. That's why you don't need a bulk upload. You just get these paws. Like the majority of your ad spend is going to come right out of these guys right here. Most of it's going to be capped right there. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and add these keywords to buy. You're going to create a buy ad group, and you're going to add the keyword bid based on our calculations that we did over here. So we went ahead and set the max bid based on the click to sale ratio. We have our max CPA. This is how many clicks it takes us with our max CPA, $17 and $12. We could pay 72 cents. We go ahead and we set those right here. Those are going to be with a little bit of a 20% buffer to make sure I get a little rank. And that's that. And then I go ahead and I add those into the new buy ad group. And then those high volume keywords are not paused. They're still going to gain some traction. They're still going to get some history. They're not top of search bid, but they don't need to be. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is that the top of search didn't serve us well on this, although it did definitely probably help with velocity. And then by doing that, what you're going to do, if you sum these up, is you're going to cut around $9,000 of ad spend, which is just pretty much what you got here, right? So essentially you're going to, by capping just this total, you're going to cap right around $9,000 in spend, which is pretty valuable in terms of budget caps, right? So a little move and saves you a lot of money. So that's going to be the way that you do this. And I would go back to my business report. I would be looking at how to resegment these. And then I would be also thinking about what products have more potential that I could be testing more aggressively. And that would be how I do the bulk download file. Again, at this point, we pretty much just plugged spend, and it's not going to help us much with scale, but it will help us keep sales history on a product that we can't like die in the water, right? So the next one is a similar type. Really, again, this second product is identical in the sense that this is kind of a different strategy though. And I'm not doing a bulk download on this particular campaign because it's not necessary. So this is an interesting kind of strategy that we talk about a lot that we kind of got stuck on in the search term mining. Like this is one of those campaigns that can be just completely optimized from the search term report. There's not a dramatic difference in our performance here. I'll show you guys all the numbers here in a minute. But this is a measuring cup and spoon set. This performance is not so dramatically screwed up that I have to go in and like do a serious bulk download file and figure out what I'm going to bid at a keyword level. Normally that has to happen when you have a lot of keywords running at high A costs or they're really hot. But this is one of those campaigns that we talk about that's kind of within that 10 to 15% threshold. It's not super scary. And it's probably can just have, it could be managed. It could just be managed just right here in the campaign manager with this report without doing a lot of moving in the bulk download. So let's kind of cover this product though, because this is another situation where the campaigns, look how well structured these are, where the campaigns are jamming. These are so well built. Like this is a really good setup. Now, of course, I'm going to say that because it's set up the way I set up campaigns and it's very clean. It's very organized. She's followed my instructions. This is jamming, right? So here we have a good campaign setup, but here is the problem. She has got these measuring cup. These are without question. We are in red ocean territory. This is one of the more red ocean products I've seen, and I want to cover why. So her main keyword that is doing fantastic for her, measuring cups and spoons, is we're going to search for it, right? And here's the deal. She has stacks of competitors bidding on this exact product manufactured almost identically. So in the manufacturing here, this would be so hard to differentiate. And shoppers, when they can't differentiate, you don't know what they're going to buy because there's no clear differentiation and they are definitely going to only buy on price. There's no question that when someone makes this decision, which you guys know the early Amazon days was more of a commodity market, it was very price driven. When you get into premium markets and profit markets and markets with profit and margin and leadership capability, boy, it is not a price game. Price is a commodity game. And commodity games can only be played if you manufacture dirt cheap. If you are somebody that has a manufacturing advantage, you can come in and do a commodity type strategy. But you better have the tightest, most, because you have to have a point of differentiation in your company and you have to have something you do that other people don't do, right? And I think when you get into a product and you're trying to do something like this where someone else maybe is manufacturing it and then there's so many similar products, you could only win on cost on the back end. This would not be a product you would take to market and win on branding, or the things that we need to win on when we're doing advertising at scale. So the problem with this product is the fact that it looks to be manufactured by multiple people or one manufacturer and sold by multiple people, and they're all advertising. So we have problems here because everybody is just going to look at price. And even then, they're going to have been through so many similar products before they may even get to yours that it could be very challenging to scale. Like, you wouldn't be able to come in here and necessarily take this market because it's just so red ocean. So you could see that Amazon tried to mix it up. Amazon is also saying, gosh, what is going on with all these similar products? And they, as a merchandising strategy, have said, okay, let's do this one. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. They're trying to give you some style options. You come down here to experts recommended, and they're trying to also give some style options, trying to mix up the page. Because you come back down and you just see a lot more of this same style, right? A lot more of these like round and square, and they all have their own like packaging, but the packaging is irrelevant because the product itself, Amazon's already said that packaging is not what sells their products. In fact, they wish people would even include packaging, and now they've started to ding people for included branding packaging in the images. They don't want the branded images. That's definitely from the in-house, from the mouths of babes. They want, that's from Jeff Bezos himself. There's an interview of him talking about it on the internet. He really believes that people with Amazon don't care about packaging. He said it on the internet. You can watch a video of it somewhere, that his Amazon shoppers, they do all the research. He knows how they buy. They just want their Prime boxes. They want them fast, and they want everything in one box, or as many, few boxes as possible. And they don't care about what comes in the packaging once they receive the box. They're far more focused on just getting the stuff. So he has actually really requested that people minimize their packaging. And I know from the mouth of babes that if you have too much branded packaging in your image, it will ding your organic visibility at this point. That's kind of like a shift in the algorithm that took place in 2018. I've heard a lot of top sellers talk about it behind the scenes, like at events, like I'm getting ready to speak about advertising. And then I've had guys come in and say, oh, that photoshopped, box, like this Morgan Hahn right there, that will ding them. Amazon doesn't want that. So as we come through, now they don't want photoshopped packaging into the product image. So we come through this, and these are identical. I mean, if I'm going through this as a shopper and I'm down here sponsored, I'm ranking, right? Here's my ad. It's so well done. But how in the world would the shopper differentiate? And I've got a $29.50 price point, and you've got people right up here at top of search with $23 price points, right? And very similar manufacturing. I'm sure there's some subtle differences in this. I'm not going to say I know nothing about measuring cups and how they're manufactured, but I know a lot about selling a ton of products that with advertising. And I have to tell you that the shopper can't tell. I already know. The shopper cannot tell the difference in these sets. They can tell the difference in the ones that have like the blue thumb holes, but they can't tell the difference necessarily between, they're just going to choose whether they like the square or the round spoon design based on how they scoop or what kind of tools they scoop, what kind of storage containers they use. But after round or square, they're going to be kind of all the same. So I think on this one, it's very challenging because it's really, this is without question, you're in a red ocean for the simple fact that there's a lot of similar products and there's a lot of advertised products. Now, if you were in this ocean and I said, oh, but look, only K-Wear is advertising with the multicolored set, you know what I mean? They're only advertising. You could probably come in here with this stainless steel set. But when I see Chef Part and then I see Molly Malone, and then I see the Elated Home, and they all have the square ends. So the first three advertisers have the same style even as me. And then if I moved on down, I would say, okay, Simply Gourmet. And then I've got this Morgan Hahn over here. And then I've got mine down here. So before I even get to my sponsored ad, I'm not organically ranked, and I've got at least 8 products ahead of me with the same exact manufacturing look. And I think that would be a challenge. So this campaign is well done, and it's perfectly done for sales history, which you have to have some sales history to get anything accomplished on Amazon. She's on the first page of Amazon. She wouldn't even enter the game, although she may be entering that game a little bit late in the sense that she's coming into the conversation a bit further down than I would be comfortable with, in the sense that, people, like I said, they're going to see 1, 2, 3, they're going to keep going. They might see 8 sets before they see mine, all with similar pricing and maybe lower than mine. I wouldn't want to be entering the conversation for this particular product, after people reviewed 20 other products, especially with, 6 or 7, I'm looking like mine. So that would be my challenge with running the ads in terms of a sales strategy, but it wouldn't be, but in terms of history, I would have no trouble with these ads. So essentially the only things I can see in this search term report are a lot of negatives. Like I would be getting pretty focused here on like Tupperware and, some of these kind of keywords that are popping in that don't make sense. And then the majority of the sales, though, like you can see, she's got some orders coming in with measuring cups and spoons. That's not going to hit velocity, but it's perfect for sales history. It's getting orders. It's below 35%, which I consider optimizable. And then the majority of her sales are coming in at high ACOS above 35%. And some of these keywords just, are going to be just challenging. I think the thing I can see here, it's very differentiated, is that we can't do any broad-based this strategy. There's no browse funnel here for us. This is not a browse strategy. So the word measuring cups, I would just get that off my plate. I wouldn't even be trying to run that or optimize it. I would lower my bid. I wouldn't pause it, but I would lower the bid at the ad group level is what I'm getting at here. Excuse me. So like if I'm coming in here, I'm not going to go and try to tweak every keyword down to a keyword level bid. It probably wouldn't work in my favor anyway. I'm really going to come in here and say, okay, I'm slightly above ACOS, 35%. I probably want to get somewhere, where would I want to get? 30% range, 25 would be the most you could expect. I'm going to try to lower this ACOS a bit. I'm just going to lower my overall browse bid as much as I need to, incrementally, very slowly until I hit a good target ACOS. I'm not going to try to micromanage the measuring cups bid because it's in the browse group. And I just think it would just need to be, I would just be lowering the bids. The ACOS is not so tragic at 35, 37, 36. It's not going over 50. I would just be lowering those bids at the ad group level to see what I could do. I would be lowering the bids on broad and phrase and singles to see how much I could reduce it down. And I would take the traffic that I could get. So this would be a bid lowering strategy across all ad groups. I wouldn't even be trying to do a bid for rank. I wouldn't be trying to rank at the top of the page because I have 3 fierce advertising competitors with an identical product, identical manufacturing. I don't have any point of differentiation where I can hit some keyword modifiers. Like I've told you guys from day one, I'm going to come in with modified search. That's how I win every market I've taken is modified search. I stay very focused on those features and benefits and those modified keywords that can define my product against the competition. And then once I win that ground with the algorithm, I start to push in kind of those, short tail broad keywords into singles. So I really try that shop funnel as my main focus. Like I've taught you guys through research and optimization, that shop funnel and those features and benefits are the only way to cut through these oceans and oceans of competition. It is about blue ocean versus red. This to me is a very red ocean. I would not want to be trying to push my ad through strategic bidding to get up here in line with people with identical products to mine. I don't, because the shopper can't differentiate. And we have no control over which one they're going to click on. And we know that somebody is cheaper than us or in the same price point as us, and they're right next to us with an identical product. So to me, this is not a top of search strategy, at least for advertising, because I think it could kind of ding you in the end to push those bids up with this type of competitive landscape. So I'm going to reduce the bids on this bad boy across all ad groups. Like all ad groups are going to get reduced until I can get to a target ACOS. I'm not going to try to push scale, but I have all this great structure. I mean, this is the key win on this. Look at these keywords. People are searching for measuring cups. They're searching for heavy duty measuring cups. They're searching for, measuring spoons and cups. She's getting so much good variation out of this that if she were bidding on every one of these long tail keywords, it would be so challenging, right? She can continue to mine the stuff that works at her target ACOS up here into a scale group all the time. It's going to happen consistently, but she's got enough traffic to build sales history, a lot of good sales history on her most important keywords with lower bids. It's not, you don't need a ton of sales because you're going to build the history. You're going to get what you can for the price that you can afford, lowering those ad group bids. And then you have history on measuring cups. You have history on measuring cups and spoons. You'll be able to mine some of these keywords into your search term report. But this is not a divide and conquer, like start setting keyword level bids type strategy. This is like an overall all ad groups, all keywords, no keyword level bidding, just ad groups get lowered till I start to see an ACOS, even if my velocity is low. And I know that I'm keeping my history with the algorithm. And I know I'm doing a nice job of that because I don't need to move to page 1 of Amazon search with this particular product because because there's nothing to be won on page one of search with the competitive landscape. So with that one, it's just a real simple across the board. And of course, I'd be every single time I would be going in and looking at cost per clicks, and I would be kind of looking at, I'd move mine over here so I could see on these average CPCs. Here's another thing that you can start to manage is if I see a really high CPC, I'm probably going to go ahead and put some negative phrase match in wherever I can. So if I see anything that does not convert for me profitably, like this Tupperware is going to go as a negative, I'm going to be really diligent about mining out my negatives, keeping my overall ad group level bids pretty low because it's a broad market, and I think it's going to do better that way. So that's going to be kind of the two strategies compared, and definitely where you guys can see across these strategies that a lot of the time it has to do with how the shopper shops, how the competitive landscape is stacked. When you come in to try to optimize an ad campaign, sometimes it's not an advertising issue. This is a really, really well managed campaign. So, okay. So yeah, both girls have done a great job. I mean, look at this. You know what I mean? Like, hello, who's top of search? Liz is, right? Hello, who's on the first page of search? Right here. Right. So, I mean, so these campaigns are well built, and these are just issues that need to be managed there's other obstacles that aren't happening within the campaigns.